Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come and in the evening the MCQ lessons they come. And the free 3 videos before the subscription videos of MCQ they are started. So yesterday evening it was a video and you please go through that and you will be totally satisfied because that a particular way those questions, that explanations is totally exam focused. So it will be very beneficial. So many more videos, many more courses are lined up there. Around 15th of December this app will be ready for the launch and many important courses are coming. So 29th of November, and important facts, articles, issues and related bodies we are discussing here. Pocket News app trending on Google Play, and this is the course of MCQ which will be taken up by Dr. Mahipal sir, and yesterday it was a demo video there. So please go through the video once and you can call on these two numbers if you have any query regarding the courses, if you have any payment related issue, so you can call here. PDF you will get on Telegram channel whose link is given on the Facebook's group here. You can follow me on Instagram too. And first issue, Google warned 500 Indians on phishing. What is phishing? You must be knowing about fishing. People catch fishes, so it's a kind of a homophone for that, and it is called phishing. It's a fraudulent attempt, okay, to obtain any sensitive information just like username, password, credit card detail or anything like that. So hackers, they can do that, and it is sponsored sometimes by the governments also. So Google warned that a government backed phishing attack was there, and in this time period of July to September this year, they attacked some personal informations there. Another incident, when the Facebook on WhatsApp disclosed that Israeli spyware Pegasus was used to spy on journalists, human rights activists and many other personalities there. So those were specific groups where already some trolling is going on, and they are under the radar of the agencies also, some of them, and they have been asking questions to the government. So the group of people, those were specific targets there, okay. So there also 121 people in India, they were attacked, and here now Google says that 12,000 people globally were attacked. Among these 12,000, 500 were Indians. So that is something really concerning, really dangerous, because the privacy is already under heavy attack, and even the government is trying all hard to bring that kind of system which is Aadhaar linked, and in the name of security they are trying to subjugate the personal secrecy, giving all powers to these 10 central agencies that they can barge into any computer in India and they can decrypt any information there. So these issues are going on. So Google said its threat analysis group works to counter targeted and government backed hacking against Google and its users. So Google's data, its servers, it is there in America, so they can announce this issue globally. Suppose this server would have been in our territory, then there would have been no announcement like that, and we would never know that this kind of thing ever happened there. So that is the negative side of the data localization issue, because today it is Google, but tomorrow if it is not Google, if the server is there within India, though, so there would be any other company, so they can easily conceal all these informations and they will never announce about these kind of attacks if these are government backed attacks. So that's the issue. So this question was asked in the parliament also to our Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad ji. He said there was nothing of that sort, and officially this Pegasus, which is sold only to the government agencies, was not actively used by any Indian authority as far as I know. So in the end he adds, as far as I know. So there can be some controversy and there can be some further revelations in this issue. But you see, right now government says that we were never involved in this kind of thing, and it was not any government backed attack by the Indian government, and this issue was raised there, and we are asking all the questions to the Google and Facebook there, what's going on, what was that attack, who was involved there. So we are trying to get all the information there, but we were certainly not involved in that particular thing as far as the minister knows it. So that's unique. That's a kind of a negative side of this progressive world in terms of internet, fast speed and connected world, global world, social networking. The so-called cyber world means the virtual world there where we are spending most of our time. So that's the negative side also. Okay, here are some details about the phishing, the definition and the issue is given here. Please go through that. Next issue, nod is given for defense purchase worth rupees 22,800 crore. Rajnath Singh ji chairs acquisition council meeting. Defense acquisition council, if you want to procure any weapon, any system, any deal which is going to be there, then defense acquisition council is the highest decision making body. Okay, and it is for the capital acquisition proposals, okay, which are forwarded by the Indian Armed Forces. Like Navy here gives this demand of 10 P-8I aircrafts, but only 6 are cleared by the DSC. And Indian Air Force, it wanted these AWACS systems. AWACS systems are given by Israel. We have our own indigenous airborne early warning and control system, AEWC, the Netra system there. So that's indigenous, but in addition they want the more efficient one, which is AWACS. AWACS were taken from Israel in the past also, and now they want more of them. So you can see on this particular plane, the black thing you see here, that is AWACS system, airborne warning system. So that we are going to procure from Israel, and P-8I from US. So these proposals are forwarded by India's armed forces, and this DAC, Defense Acquisition Council, was set up in 2001 as a part of post-Kargil reforms in the defense sector. So that's important. And what it does, it actually approves these deals, and for the acquisition it recommends all these issues. Final decision is taken by the Cabinet Committee on Security, headed by the Prime Minister there. So regarding the prices, regarding the final deal and the final node, Cabinet Committee on Security is there. So now DAC has given its node for these two procurements, P-8I from US and AWACS from Israel. You can go through the details here. Indian Navy currently operates 12 P-8 these aircrafts, and they wanted 10 more, but only 6 are given the clearance here. 6 additional P-8I long range patrol aircraft. These are patrol aircrafts. Okay, and this is airborne warning system. You can see the details are given here. And the next issue, Reliance India Limited, first Indian company to cross 10 lakh crore market capitalization. Okay, becomes the first Indian firm to cross market capitalization of 10 lakh crore rupees, with its shares touching a 52-week high of 1584 rupee before closing at 1579 rupee. Means it has made that particular mark. And as we are observing, some particular corporate giants are progressing, like Ambani's and Adani's. They are making consistent profits, but many of the entities are reporting heavy losses there. So it's a great thing for Reliance, for India, that one company crosses 10 lakh crore rupees market capitalization mark. But there are some issues, like in the AGR issue we have seen Vodafone Idea and these companies, Airtel, they are making huge losses there, where Ambani's company Jio is standing tall there. So that's the issue. Next, cotton production to be higher this season. Good rains in area under cultivation. For cotton, you must remember the black soil, which is mainly found in the Deccan Plateau region of Indian Peninsula, mainly which is spread in Maharashtra and the Gujarat region there. So there the important cultivation of cotton, that is very, very important, especially in this area. Okay, you must be remembering the plastic soil issue, because during monsoon, this soil that retains a lot of water, that swells, and when the water is evaporated, then deep cracks are visible in that soil. So that's the same black cotton soil, and rich in iron there. there the main production of cotton happens. Okay, the BT cotton issue is also related to the same region there. And now this year the cultivation was done on lesser part of the land. Last year it was 126.58 lakh hectare. This time it was only 125.84 lakh hectare, but the production is higher, the yield is higher this year, relatively better. So that's important. And this is going to be a positive phase for the textile industry also in these difficult times. So that's important. Let me ask you about that. Next, facts are very less in number in newspaper today. We are coming to important articles. Widening gap. Here it talks about the emissions gap report, UN environment program that comes up with this emission gap report. And what gap means, which is rising in terms of efforts that countries need and what they are taking as a step. So that gap is rising. Trump, they announced 2 years back that they are going to withdraw from the Paris climate change, and that issue is started, the process is started of withdrawing. So countries are going just backwards. In 2018 we touched the highest mark in terms of emission globally, and many reports came from the developing nations like India, China and Brazil. These countries, their emissions are consistently rising because they are developing countries. And for the developed countries, their emissions, they are not going for bigger cuts there, although they are all talking, but real steps are not visible. So that is why two important ranges, 2 degrees centigrade and 1.5 degrees centigrade. 1.5 is very ambitious and looks nearly impossible, because the speed which we are going with, it is not looking possible that we will achieve that. And even 2 degrees centigrade rise looks impossible. Why? Because we are moving backwards. Last year it was the historic emission record for this world. So in this way emissions are rising and we need deep cuts there. You see, if we want to keep it at a rise of 2 degrees centigrade from the pre-industrial times, where already we are at a huge loss, the average temperature is already risen by 1.1 degrees centigrade. So only 0.4 we have to allow to rise by this century's end. Is it possible? No. With this speed, totally no. Because if we want to keep it at 1.5 degrees centigrade, the average rise there, then we need 7.56% reductions, emission cuts every year from 2020 to 2030 in next 10 years. If you want to keep it at 2 degrees centigrade, then 2.7% average annual cuts must be there. And this emission, global emission, and the 2.7% cut must be there every year from 20 to 30. Then only it will be possible. But actually only symbolism is going on, and it can do little to mitigate the effects of dangerous climate change, because countries are talking, but are they really serious? It doesn't look like so, because developing countries are complaining consistently that developed countries are not supporting, and they need financial support there, but that is not being provided by the developed ones. So they are now taking huge steps because of a lesser capacity. And the developed countries who have this historic responsibility, they say that we are not at mistake today. It is all history and it was all the past acts. How we can be held responsible for that? We cannot give that much money, and they are doing something as a step taking according to their own wishes. So some countries, like in the EU, the biggest pressure from the public is there in the EU region, European Union region. They are bringing some legislation there. So France and UK, two countries, they have brought some legislations there. And UK, which is mainly responsible for a large share of historical emissions, because the industrial revolution started in UK only. So UK has turned its net zero 2050 goal into a legal requirement. So that's a good step. But what about America, the biggest emitter there? They are going into opposite direction there. And some recommendations are also there for countries like India, where they are developing, their emissions are rising although per capita emissions are very low due to the inequality issue, but the total emissions are really a big concern, and we are observing all those results there. You see, if you go on the website there, unenvironment.org, and this emission gap report there, you will find a lot of information for the prelims and the mains. You will see only 2 G20 member countries, UK and France, have passed legislations there, and 3 G20 members, Germany, Italy, and the EU 28 group, they are currently in process of passing legislation there, and 15 G20 members have not passed any legislation regarding the zero emission target. You can see all these red countries, 15 countries, they have not passed any law there. Okay, so that's a huge problem. So a lot of information is given there. We have to see what happens in the Madrid summit there in December. This is the important meeting under the UNFCCC, and what happens there we have to see. But these warnings are really concerning, because it should not go like that now, otherwise we will surely lose our future, that's for sure. And it's our future, it is our existence, it is not something like our choice, it is our existence there. Okay, you see these reports, please go through the detail here. Next article by Suhasini Heather, she talks about the issue of India's neighborhood, its policy, and its following up of the issues. Gotabaya Rajapaksa has become the president now, his brother Mahinda Rajapaksa has become the prime minister now. So within a day of his swearing in as Sri Lanka's new president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa received a visit from our Minister of External Affairs S. Jaishankar ji, and he also accepted an invitation to visit India. And today he is in India, he is going to meet the Prime Minister of India, and that's important denotation of a welcome proactiveness in India's relationship. So that's really great, and we are following our neighborhood policy. But you see, these things are really great. That is the first prerequisite there, that we become active here. But similar instances have been there in the past regarding Nepal also, when Sushma Swaraj ji took this trip to Kathmandu, and she met KP Sharma Oli ji. But after that, what happened? Not much progress was seen there. Means we have good relations for sure, and there is no such a huge problem there, but according to the expectations, some things were not called as a great achievement there. And it is there since 2015, the infamous blockade was there, and the issue of Madhasis, that was very huge, and still the issues are there. So in the past we have been proactive, but how much we get out of these summits, that's not a guarantee. Means it's given that countries in the subcontinent that India is engaging with consistently have elected leaders with big political mandates. Okay, and that is the reason that India has a new set of challenges to its policy. Means in all these countries like Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, their leaders, prime minister, presidents, they have enormous influence on the public, and they are hero like leaders in their country. Means Gotabaya Rajapaksa getting 54% votes, so it's a huge thing. So they have big political mandates, just like Modi ji has. So these things are huge, and that's why we need some calibrations there. So as it says, symmetry is not a guarantee of better relationship unless a number of other pillars are also strengthened. So we need an overall strengthening of the relation there. You see, the past also matters. In the past, the same Rajapakshas, they had put this allegation that Indian intelligence agencies had conspired for their electoral loss in 15. So that was something really huge. So that bitterness can be there. So there may be some superficial smiles and all, but maybe these issues are there inside. But you see, the issue of China is so huge for these countries. These countries are so vulnerable that India is always sensitive to these issues. Like Sri Lanka, Chinese presence is there. Hamman Tota Port was the burning example of that. Nepal, Chinese influence is there. Myanmar, Bangladesh, everywhere China wants to put its influence there. So always any issue comes between India and these countries, then the Chinese factor becomes a new vulnerability there. So that is why we may have improvements there, and the intelligence sharing, that was something as a problem, that can be a real relation booster in the future if we both become serious in this issue. So the development projects and the economic relations are the basic thing there. There we need to improve a lot. India has already evinced interest in building infrastructure in the northern and eastern provinces, including upgrading the Jaffna-Colombo rail track, other railway lines, providing electricity transmission lines for power imports from India, and Kanke Sandurai port. You see the location here. This is Kanke Sandurai port, where we had given this proposal to rebuild that. So these things could be a real booster there. But you see, one thing is to be noted down here. It talks about the northern and eastern provinces, means this region. And this was the region where Gotabaya Rajapaksa did not get any votes, and heavy voting was there against Rajapaksa. So what happens about these proposals in the future, because these are in these particular regions where Rajapaksa was opposed. So that is also an additional angle there. So I noted this thing down today. So this was not given in the article there, but this can be an important issue. So we have to see what happens in the future. These things are under the wheel of the future, but these are potential areas where we can improve and where we can deliver there. Delivery has always been a big problem for India, where we talk about Iran's Chabahar, where we talk about the issues in Sri Lanka, some projects in Nepal, and issues with Bangladesh. Everywhere the delivery was something really controversial, that India lags in these approaches. That is the common understanding of Indian establishment. So that's why here you see eastern province. If we take Sri Lanka's eastern province, little progress has been made on projects that former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe had signed through MOUs in Delhi in April 17. So completion of these should become a priority. That's a prerequisite there. And India had plans to develop Trikonmali port, oil tank farms, LNG terminals near Colombo. So these can be potential areas. And to counter Chinese investment in the eastern container terminal at Colombo Harbour, we made some attempts here. So there can be a good follow-up. In the Matala airport also, we offered to operate that port. So these are potential areas. Okay, so in the example, they may ask you about that. These things are important for the prelims examination. So not just in Sri Lanka, but also across the subcontinent, India has lagged behind in investment figures. You talk about Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, everywhere this is a similar scene. And also true for Maldives. You see, we wanted to have some influence there. Modi ji attended the swearing ceremony of Mr. Soli there, and he said that we are going to cancel some Chinese projects there, but till date these are not cancelled. Means the Chinese influence remains there. So that is why the issue is so important. Nepal has in fact stepped up its engagement with China after Xi Jinping's recent visit there. So these are issues for India. Okay, we have to fulfill all these gaps. We already have a huge rivalry with China. The Belt and Road Initiative is the biggest problem between India and China there. Now the RCEP, we have withdrawn from there also. So many pressures China want to put there, and it may use these countries for sure. So that's why we have to be proactive. We are proactive, but we have to follow these potential areas there. Okay, and the issue of India's internal problems. You see, Bangladesh, Maldives, these are Muslim countries. They are observing these mob lynching issues. They are observing these the handling of minority issues in this country. The kind of a new cultural wave is there in this country. These things are observable, and they are not going to support these things. Where we discussed yesterday that Bangladesh is bringing a secular image there. They are hanging some extremist ideology people. Where we are going backwards. So these things are well observed, and they are discussing these things. There are experts, and it is not in every country like India where intellectuals are labeled tukre or something like that. So they are observing these things, they are discussing these things. So these things may also impact some relations, because the political pressure can be there from the Muslim populations especially. So that's why it's important. And the economic situation is also vulnerable here. Till date we could not do much, so that becomes a bigger challenge for India now. If you talk about the investment capacity, so we will have bigger challenges now. Our economic slowdown is going on, and we may have a kind of a crisis very soon, starting from 2020 according to experts. So this will be problematic. So we have to solve our internal issues there. These countries, the neighborhood countries, are watching all those things. And if we talk about Mr. Gotabaya, that we expect that he promises to bring equality, justice and peace, dignity, then we have to see our own issues also, according to Suhasini Haidar, the writer there. She says that given the Modi's failure to hold elections in Jammu and Kashmir and the incarceration of Valley's political leaders, and about the some communal issues going on in our country, the mob lynching issues and all, and if we want to talk about the rights of Madhasis in Nepal, the issues of non-Hindu in Pakistan, Bangladesh, the issues of Rohingyas in Myanmar, then we have to see our own situation first. Then only we will have the right to talk about these things. Otherwise, we may not talk about those problems, because they can put some allegations in counter. So most of these issues, strong men or strong women, means Sheikh Hasina, she is targeting here. So strong men, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, other leaders, women as Sheikh Hasina is. So in the region, they are likely to do not as New Delhi says, but as New Delhi does. So we have to show that we can deliver. We have to act now. Talking will not cook rice, and good relations are there, but we have to follow up some things. That's the ultimate suggestion in this article, important for GS paper 2 especially. Okay, next article, this additional information is given here regarding the Kankan Santurai port. Next article talks about the India's food security issue, food diversity issue, and the biodiversity problems. HE biodiversity targets are going to be completed by 2020, because it started in 2011, and 2020 was the ending year for HE biodiversity targets there. How much we have achieved, how much biodiversity we have saved there from extinction, and the issues of climate change, how they are threatening the issues of biodiversity. That is a huge point to discuss. And the main thing is of hunger index and the hidden hunger there. The hidden hunger is the bigger problem today. You talk about poverty, that's evident, but about the hidden hunger, the lack of nutrition, even inside the rich people, especially in the countries like India, that is becoming a big menace. And maybe due to these problems, due to lesser nutrition, lesser micronutrients in our food, lesser diversity of the food, we are having many drastic disease, and we are bearing a lot of consequences in our lifestyle there. That's why cancer, diabetes, these diseases are rising day by day. So these are connected issues. So 4 out of 10 kids in India, they are stunted, malnutrition, and we have achieved 102nd rank out of 117 countries. So that's really concerning. And half of our females, they are anemic, and maybe more than half they are anemic, and during pregnancy around 70% of them, they are anemic. So what kind of kids they can deliver? They will surely be having health problems, mental retardations, and the new generation will not be healthy for sure. So we need some great initiatives there. So the nutrition garden brought by MHRD there, in the school eco clubs, they are gonna train these kids so they can adopt some good ways in the lives, and they can learn to cultivate fruits and vegetables at home, and the micronutrient deficiency can surely be tackled this way. So the issue of agro biodiversity, we have to take very, very seriously. Today the world is more focused on a limited number of crops, like the maize, rice and wheat. These 3 crops are feeding half of the world. So the diversity is really constricted, and the genetic diversity of crops is extremely important for humans and for the ecological balance also. But we are distorting all balances there. Across the world, 37 sites are designated as globally important agricultural heritage systems, because they are natural, they are local, they are a kind of a heritage today, because they are preserved, and there is no manipulation there. Human manipulation is the biggest problem with the ecology today. So the Kashmir saffron, Koraput's traditional agriculture, and the Kutanad's below sea level farming, they are unique examples. They are identified by FAO also. Okay, so GIAHS is indirectly under FAO only, And other issues were also recognized, like rice from Tamil Nadu, the Konamani, the Assam's Agnibora, Kerala's Pokali rice, and Bhalia wheat and mushroom from Himachal Pradesh. And it is about the agrobiodiversity, about the animal biodiversity. You can see things are observable, so we have to save these things. And there are great qualities in the traditional foods and all, like moringa has micronutrients, sweet potato has vitamin A, and sorghum has zinc, pearl millet has iron. So these things were there in our diet, but they are missing today because we are eating more and more sugary and salty foods, and rice, wheat and maize only we are eating in maximum amount. So that's why the zero hunger goal will not be fulfilled for sure, because we have hidden hunger today. We are not eating diverse foods, we have micronutrient deficiency, and we are having the consequences for that. So it is well recognized an issue. And I talked about the HE biodiversity targets. They have this issue as a core issue. And if you talk about National Biodiversity Authority, as we have this in this country, that was established by the NBA Act of 2002, and there is the Biodiversity Policy and Law Center, SEBPOL. It's a policy advocacy unit of the NBA there, that came out with some recommendations that apply the ecological sensitive farming, apply the bio-village concept, where you enhance native pest and pollination, and across the agricultural landscape you are promoting more and more organic, more and more traditional, more and more local ways of farming, because we have seen the consequences of ignoring these things. We replace them with our artificial ways, and the natural pollination, natural pest control, these are all missing today. And that is why bigger and bigger efforts we are needing, and we are moving towards devastation. We are having troubles, we are having a dangerous disease because of our agricultural practices. So that is why we have to go towards the basics, we have to preserve the traditional ways, and we have to encourage community seed banks also. We have seen commercial problems there, means some companies are having patents over the seeds and all, and they are filing cases against the farmers there. This is really a bizarre thing. We have to protect our traditional ways. There should be rights to the farmers so that they can preserve their own ways. And they were surviving for 1,000 years, but today they are failing because of these manipulations there. So that's why we have bigger needs. We have to prepare agrobiodiversity indexes there. We have to develop a national level invasive alien species policy